From beautiful North Hollywood, California, it's Flashback Tonight starring Delious. Today, we're talking music nostalgia with SiriusXM's 90s on 9 host and legendary MTV VJ, Downtown Julie Brown.
Hello and welcome to Flashback Tonight 2020 COVID edition. We have been forced to ditch our in-studio audience in favor of live one-on-one interviews with our favorite celebrities from the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s. And today we have a treat. Today we have someone who is not only, as I found out, a disco dancing champion, but she is the legendary MTV VJ, Downtown Julie Brown. Let's bring her in.
How are you? What's up, peeps? How
Hello.
you? You're looking good. Look at you. The last time I saw you, we were on a boat going like this.
Yes.
Right?
It was craziness. I actually didn't love being on the boat for that long. I think 3 days is long enough for me.
Actually, 1 day is long enough for me, but I just went for it. You know, I just thought it's the first time I've ever done that. So
really?
being on a cruise, I just thought it would be so much fun to be hanging out with all the artists again. And I just wanted to see everybody. You know, because I used to know everybody, not know them personally, but kind of, I don't know, there was such a kinship of the artists and myself. I mean, I just loved everybody I worked with back in the MTV day. I mean, I just fell in love with them. It was like family to me. And so I just thought it'd be really good to see some folks again, see what's up. So that's why I ended up doing the cruise with you guys and also with a few of our other friends.
Yes, absolutely. You know, when I was younger, I used to read like music history books, you know, dreaming about being in the music industry one day. And I would see things in these books like people who like established themselves as artists and DJs and anything in the music industry as executives or so. People like, of course, Michael and Aerosmith and Wolfman Jack and Rick Dees.
Man, the D's.
Rick Dees, yeah.
Yes.
And in today's time, I feel like if they were still making those books, and I don't know if they are still making those books, that you would be one of those people that I'd be seeing in those books. Do you ever recognize the impact that you had on the music industry?
The thing I recognize, I don't kind of point it to me. I just recognize that time, what an impact it had, like what a surge of energy it was. And I was just in the right place at the right time. And to be able to be myself as well. I wasn't coming into something and going, oh, well, I have to act a certain way or dress a certain way to fit into the mold of the whole MTV club, you know, 80s, 86 kind of thing. It was kind of flowing already. And as I stepped into it, they really didn't have a map of where we were going to go. It was just like, here you go. The stage is yours. And how fun is that? I mean, you don't often get that chance. And I was just in the right place at the right time. And MTV said, here's a mic and go for it. And we had no idea what we were going to do, but we just did it. We would just walk on the streets and go, what's up?
So how was it that you come from UK and then end up on MTV as a VJ? Was there an audition or how'd this happen?
You know what? I was actually, I had gone from disco dancing into television, into doing different TV shows in London. And we were on a cable network, the first cable network in England, because we only had 3 channels back in the day in the UK. And I ended up on this cable channel, and it was a music cable channel. And we were just making interviews with people and going out and videoing bands and stuff. And we sent a Merry Christmas video to the MTV studios. I think one year we were all forced to do this Christmas video. And I think that's how they saw me. And then they called London, they called my agent and asked if I wanted to go over for an audition. I think it was that simple. It was that simple for me. That's what they said to me, go do that. So I flew over and I met with the powers that be, the big brass buttons of MTV. Absolutely fantastic guys. So I met with Tom Preston, Lee Mass. Who else was there? There were probably people that were famous that I didn't know at the time.
Uh-huh.
Before. And they said, just go down to the studio, and they put some news on the screen and asked me to read it. And then after I finished reading that, they were just like, do what you would do on camera if you were, talking about music. So I just went off. And lucky for me, I went back to the office, and they were like, "That was cool. Do you want the gig?" I was
just like that.
Yeah, it was pretty much just like that. I got lucky. They were like, "Do you want it?" I was just like, "Sure." And remember, we didn't have MTV in England and Europe then. I had no idea what MTV was about, and I'm a disco chick, so I was a disco and reggae and R&B. That's what I grew up with. But secretly, I had a little rock thing going, that no one really knew about. I was always going to London and checking in with all the punk rockers and stuff like that. I mean, I used to go and see Billy Idol and all these acts it was wild. Because being a dancer, you could get in anywhere in London. If you were a dancer, they'd just be like, hey, come in because you made the party.
Yeah.
So we were always allowed to get in for free and be at all these like cute clubs and stuff. And so rock was always there behind. But of course, when I came to MTV, it was full on, and I was able to do whatever I wanted to do. And it was really so much fun.
So you get on the air, your first interview on the air. Who did you interview first, and were you frightened? Like,
no, I wasn't. I'm not the interview kind of chick. So, I'm more grab the mic and talk to everyone at home kind of thing. I'm more that's where I'm comfortable. And it was only when we started to do MTV that I started to do interviews of artists that would come on, like Salt and Pepper. They did their first, Push It thing on. And also Tupac was on there. I mean, everybody was on Club MTV. Everyone that wanted to come through. I mean, En Vogue before they became the Funky Divas, when they were like, all in their tight little dresses and
talking about what's it gonna be?
Absolutely gorgeous. And then I got into interviewing more then, because of course on Club MTV we'd just ask the artist, where can we get the record, what's next and all that good stuff. But it was more on a, hey, let's hang out kind of interview. It was never a sit down interview like what you're doing, which I'd be so nervous to be you right now.
I am very, because you're like a legit person. I'm like, I'm the wannabe. So I'm like, oh, please don't let me look stupid in front of Julie Brown.
No, you would never, because, you have to remember that you may be interviewing me, but we're huge. I'm a huge, huge fan of you. I mean, we grew up on you. And you are the floating side of our lives. You made it, just real. It was like you spoke for us. Your music spoke for us. We didn't have to say anything. We'd go home and like put one of your songs on or something and be like, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's an amazing memory to think that maybe, babies may have been made, or, I was talking to TJ Jackson interview earlier.
Okay, I didn't make a baby to you, so we can.
Exactly. I was talking to TJ Jackson on an earlier interview, and I was saying that it's amazing that us as artists, as we grow older, when we're like 90 or whatever, we have moving video to look back to see what we sounded like and what we did at age 20 and age 16. And, it's something that's, that's amazing to me.
But what you were creating,
I
mean, it's not like How can I say? I mean, I've done some really stupid things in my time, but that's all part of growing up. That's all part of growing up in the business or growing, you growing up. I grew up on camera. How can I say? I just that was my closest love, the camera and the microphone. It was just like, that was it for me. I wasn't interested in anything else at all. It would just be, I just want to work. I just want to go and do this and have fun. And, when we did Club MTV, all the dancers were so unbelievably special and sweet. And we'd go out and we'd audition and they'd come in. And it really was like a family. I mean, those kids to me, we'd all go out after the shows and we'd all go out and eat. And it was just, I miss those. Like when the show ended, I didn't cry for me. I just cried because I was like, what the dance is going to go? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But I didn't have to worry so much because those that were super, 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 super talented anyway went on to do really big things. So I'm happy about that.
We kind of grew up similarly in researching you, because I did not know that you are an Air Force brat, as am I.
You see? Are you really? Good grief.
That's right. I moved every 2 years.
Royal Air Force?
Not in the British Royal Air Force, in the American Air Force.
But I'm just saying he was not in the army or. He was in the Air Force. Yeah. I'm an Air Force brat. Yeah. Through and through. Basically going from camp to camp, and going through life with that. I've lived in Cyprus. My dad was in India. We moved to all over the place, like probably every 4 years or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm just really good at packing.
So how do you feel like being an Air Force brat? I know my answer for myself had prepared you for your interactions with all these different celebrities. I know I have a saying that says, if you can't get along with me, it's you, because I get along with everybody because I've had to, So what about yourself?
What did I paint on my wall? I think I painted on my wall, "We have no faults." You should find one. It's your fault, not ours. I think I'm just I settle in very quickly to wherever I am. It's like that old saying, wherever you lay your hat, that's your home.
Yeah.
And that's me. I just think for me, it really worked out. Sorry, that was my phone. It really worked out wonderfully to be. Some people struggle about being an Air Force brat. I love moving around and going places and meeting new people. Whereas, a couple of my family members, once my dad had stopped in the Air Force, they settled down and they haven't been anywhere, not on a plane, not anywhere. They just like, this is it. We've stopped. I don't want to move anymore. Whereas I can just go. If you told me to go, sorry, can you hear my squeaky chair?
Very little, very little.
It's not me. Just it's a squeaky chair. So yeah, I could just up and go. But I also think personality-wise, it really helped me to integrate more, especially into the business that I'm in, where you're mixing with all sorts of people doing all sorts of different things and different personalities. And I was so used to moving around and doing that I think it kind of gave me a little bit of an in that I could get along with most people.
Right. Well, so you're in the studio, back to MTV days. You're finally in there. You're interviewing. You're in the rooms with Whitney's and Janet's and Madonna's and Idols and all these people. Did you ever have any sort of insecurity about what am I doing in this room? I have that every time I'm in a room with other artists. I'm like,
there's certain artists, of course, that you can't help being completely shy with. That you're like, but you've got to understand, like in the 80s, in 1986, it was just like Madonna was rising. They were all starting to rise.
Yeah.
They were all starting to, they were finding their way as superstars as well. Whitney Houston, I was just I absolutely adored her. I was just in love with her from the first song, from the get-go. And I was lucky enough to have met her in London before I came to America. And so being with Whitney Houston, sometimes, you know, we had our birthday. She's August birthday. This past weekend, would have been her birthday. God bless her.
Yeah.
And so in New York, I used to have big birthday parties, and she'd have big birthday parties, and we'll all, like, you know, cross over. But it never felt like. But I think also the artist never made you feel like, what the heck are you doing here?
Yeah.
Because I think the personality that we had on our show and on MTV, it wasn't to pry or to dig the dirt like they do nowadays. It was basically to enhance, like, what are you doing? What are you up to? You know, it was all very exciting. It was all on the up and up. Whereas today, I find a lot of the interviews, you'll do an interview and it'll all be going really well. And then they'll go, but there was that time when, and they'll bring up something really bloody horrible. And like, oh, you know, did you have to do that?
Right.
Everything was going so well. Did you have to, you know, like the story of Whitney? There are so, I mean, 99.9% of Whitney is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
You know, but it's that 1% that obviously, you know, brought her down.
Yeah.
Just, do we have to see that?
Yeah.
No, I'm not interested in that. I'm just interested in the gift. And
Absolutely.
what brought to us, and, you know, talking about that, because as far as I'm concerned, you never know someone's demons. You don't know what's in there. You don't know what causes them to do the thing. You can, I can imagine. So I'm not going there. The one thing I do know is that she was super, super talented and fantastic and gorgeous and such a sweet person. And so I wouldn't go anywhere else with an interview, but I find today they're completely different. So you're not going to do that with me, are you, Delious?
Not now. Just maybe X that off the list.
That off right there.
That was my next question. I was like, oh, not asking that.
What did you do?
You know, the funny thing with Whitney, before I move on, was I actually did a duet with Whitney. That's what I call it. A duet, because we did our Millennium Show 2000 was in Beijing, and we were the opening act for Whitney Houston. And then after the show, we all went to some small dive bar in Hong Kong, right? I mean, it was a small room. They had like a little band on stage and all that. And the band kept trying to get us to come sing. And of course, nobody wanted to sing because we just finished doing, 2 hours concert and all. And then they started playing a song, We Are Family by Sister Sledge, which was like a song that was in our show anyway. So I was like, they called me up to the stage with this local band. I was like, I'll sing it. I'm like, we are family. And I'm singing. And I look at Whitney and I have the mic and I was like, give me the mic. And she's like, oh, and Bobby's like, she's never going to do that. And I was like, she took the mic and then and I just started ripping back and forth. And I was like, oh my God, this is a duet. I don't care what anybody says.
Right, you better have video of that too.
It was 2000. We didn't have all that cell phones. I know, right?
No, but it's here.
Yeah.
It's all here.
It's right here. I wish.
I mean, I remember Whitney and I, one time we were sitting at some glamorous party and, there was like all this fancy food on the table and strawberries and grapes and stuff like that. And Mike Tyson was sitting just across the way, and Whitney and I were sitting there and we saw the grapes and we're like, shall we? We were sitting there like taking grapes and like throwing them at Mike Tyson and going like this, wasn't us, and just having a stupid giggly time. Mike Tyson never knew. He never thought in a million years it would be Whitney or me throwing grapes at him. I think if he did, probably would have ended. The night would have ended differently. But I'm just saying, that's how fun the days. That's how fun the days were. It was just like giggly girl fun or giggly guy fun.
I have a Mike Tyson joke, but I'm afraid of him, so I'm not even going to say it, just in case he watches this.
Now he knows the deal.
So you ever have any cool stories with your celebrities of like being in like a bathroom with someone and having to hand like toilet paper under the stall to Madonna? She's like, I'm out. Here you go, girl.
No. I actually went on tour. I went on the Blonde Ambition tour to cover the Madonna tour.
Wow.
And that was, but it was always, you had to keep very far away.
Yeah.
Hey, for me, honestly, you could call it a diva move or something like that, but I just completely got it. I'm like, she's one of the hardest working women in the business, and she was busy. Yeah. And she didn't want people running around, so I completely got it and respected that. But it was such an honor to be on the tour with her and her dancers at the time. I mean, when voguing was but no, I don't have tales to tell. No.
That'd be fun.
From anybody. Sorry, I don't. I don't have tales.
That's okay. It's okay.
I don't go to public bathrooms, so that's probably why.
Yeah, oh, well, I don't even blame you for that. It's the worst thing.
Yeah. That's
a urinal, I'm fine with. But if it's somewhere, anything else, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm out in public, I will be in pain inside before I go to a gas station, to a public bathroom. It's like, no.
I had a little nickname for a little while. They used to call me the camel because I whenever I was working, I wouldn't drink anything, and it could be for hours, like at spring break or something like that. And like, because guess what? I am not going in that bathroom over there at all. So they would call me the camel because I'd never drink while I was working.
That's crazy, Julie.
Yeah.
What was your favorite interview? Your most favorite interview that you've ever done? Who?
I've just been fortunate to have been in the same place. I mean, meeting Tina Turner was just like that. That's one diva that I was, oh my God. Oh, and I met Michael Jackson as well. I met Michael Jackson, and we were taking a photograph, and for some reason in my mind, I was just like, you never really see it, but I really want to know if he has a booty. So I kind of slipped my hand down from his waist and dropped down, and he had a little booty going there.
What did Michael do?
Michael, he was, Michael's Michael. You probably didn't think it was. I mean, I'm not a stalker or anything like that. I didn't make it that obvious. I just put my hand around his waist and kind of dropped my arm a little bit because I just wanted to see if it would stop or if it would go straight down.
Michael got a washboard booty. No.
He had a little booty. I just think he used to wear baggy clothes. But he did have a booty. So Michael Jackson was a treat for me. That was a treat. And one time I think I was out in LA, and we were at a club, and we were just dancing and having a good time. And I kind of turned around and I looked in the corner, and I was like, who is that? It looks like somebody. I'm just like, who is that? And just chilling in the corner by himself was Prince. Yeah. Wow. So that was cool. So I kind of like started wiggling, like you do, like dancing back. My ass like right back there just so he could see it, but of course he's not little DTJB.
You're like, I'm not missing this opportunity.
No, just wanted to say, yo, what's up? That was it. But to be honest with you, everything I did, every day that I did on MTV was just a highlight of fun. To be able to talk about everybody as well in a good light, to promote everything, to be positive and pushing forward. It was such a great place to be. I honestly wouldn't want to be doing a TV show today. I think it would be very worrisome to have to, get real. I think the whole part of the 80s was being out of reality.
Yeah.
And concentrating on what greatness was out there. The fun stuff. But it was work.
Yeah.
Worked every day. Everybody worked really, really hard. Of course, then back in the day, all the bands were playing live. It was going to clubs to seeing them play live and catching up with them
It's a great time. It was a great time.
Places, Aerosmith and, Run DMC, like at the Limelight.
Yeah.
It was pretty.
The 80s and 90s were some of the best decades of music, in my opinion. I mean, the kids nowadays have their music, and some of it's good, but it's hard for me to vibe to everything today because I feel like there's no real singers outside of maybe one or two, but there's no new Whitneys, no new Luthers.
No, not yet, but maybe there will be. I hope that time comes around again, and because there are some beautiful singers out there. It's just such a different time. I just feel like now we get the product and it's right there in our face, and we've got to be, that's good, or the next song is bad.
Yeah.
But I feel in the 80s and the 90s, especially with MTV, you got to watch the journey, and you got to hear the stories, and you got to see them actually become this massive, star. You see them from the first beginnings of their things, talking but now you just see, it's just like people put out albums and they're out there and you just listen to it and you go, oh, that's a great album. It's just like, no, but I want to know what the song means. I want to know what the album means. I want to know what you were going through when you wrote that song or when you did that. And it was so fun back in the day to see people, you knew what drums they were playing, you knew what drum sticks they were using, what guitars they were kicking on, but now you don't. It's just full on, here's a new video from so and and I'm not saying it's not a bad song, right. It's not a good thing, it's great, I love seeing it, but it's just I'm not I can't get a connection to it like I used to. I used to breathe it, and now I just watch it.
I feel you.
And that's a little bit different. It makes you disconnected.
No, I totally agree. No development, no
I'm wearing all the time when I'm watching them. It's just like I'm just chilling back, just watching it, and that's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's supposed to really move me.
Right.
Because back in the 80s days, it was just real stuff.
So you get to stay.
Bad Boys of Boston or Bruce Springsteen, and you feel this stuff. It's like heart.
Yeah. So you get to stay in your heart with your current job as a host of 90s on 9, SiriusXM, back in the day replay.
I do, and I bugged you so many times. I'm like, Delious, text. I'm going into your song at number 8 or number 1. Or, can you hop on the mic for me? And you've never let me down. So thank you.
Of course not.
For that, because of course when you're doing a show like the 90s on 9, you're playing 90s, and we only play 90s hits. So it's not like we play all the music of the 90s. We play 90s hits. So there is a bunch that you've got to keep changing around and do things to. So I really appreciate you coming on and going, well, I'm talking about the same song again, Julie, but I'll do it this way. And but it's fantastic, and it's actually harder work than it sounds, because it makes me go back and dig into finding out something new about that song or that artist, which if I missed it back in the 80s day or 90s day, it makes me go back and research and work and go, here's something I haven't said before about that, or I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's where the internet is good.
Exactly. Has there ever been somebody that I guess maybe had like a minor hit, well, not a minor hit, a major hit in the 80s or 90s that you had forgotten about, and you're like, I don't remember this song.
Oh my God. Yeah, we do this thing where we do the pick of the hour, where the producer like throws in a hit. It's the pick of the hour. Here you go. And I'll go, what the heck is that? And I just kind of go off the fly and go, oh my gosh, I haven't heard this one in forever, and so it makes you go, man, I can remember like being back in the day with Shalimar, for instance, or something like that. But that would reference going into, we don't have to take our clothes off, because he was in Shalimar before. What? Jermaine Stewart was a singer in Shalimar with Jeffrey Daniels, who also choreographed the Bad video. We're bad.
Yeah, I knew that.
But Jeffrey Daniels actually was the guy that taught me to New Edition, Candy Girl, You Are My World. Because I was a dancer on a show called Top of the Pops in London.
Yeah,
and they gave me a little solo 8 bars. And I was like, what am I going to do? And Jeffrey Daniels from Shalimar taught me how to do the moonwalk there. So that was my first moonwalking. Jeffrey Daniels, who is linked to Jermaine Stewart, and Jermaine Stewart was on Club MTV, and then of course Jody Watley, and so the story just keeps hopping and hopping and hopping along. So, memories.
You kind of reminded me of Jody Watley in the 80s. Your style and all that. You could literally have been a Jody Watley lookalike if you didn't have the accent.
It was actually because Jody Watley used to have an English accent for a little bit, because she loves England, and they used to play in England all the time. And Howard Hewitt is a good friend of mine. He actually sang at my wedding.
Oh,
wow. But yeah, Jody Watley and I had very similar. I used to go to the airport sometimes, and they'd go, in my tutus and my boots and my silly outfits that I always used to wear, and they'd be like, oh my God, we love your album. And I'd be like, no, that's not me. It's I know who you think I am, but I'm not. And they're like, oh, you're just playing. Can you just please sign something? And I'm like, but it's not me. And then in the end, I'd just like, sign it, Jody.
Spelled with an I. It's all spelled wrong.
But yeah, in fact, when she came to the Club MTV show, we both had to say, find out what each other were wearing, because we were very similar with styles for sure. And of course, Jody's a fantastic dancer. Yeah. So, but I'm, totally in love with the Hoop Girl. Yeah.
I tried hard.
Concert recently of hers. I did an 80s in the Sand, and she was performing, and I was right at the front of the stage, and she took her earring off the big hoop, and I was like a mad woman. I think I nearly killed 3 people for that hoop, but I got it. So I put the Jody Watley big hoop earring, only one.
So after all you've been through, you still fan out over some of your favorites still?
Absolutely fan out. Oh, come on. When I watch you guys perform, you see me, I'm always on the side of the stage.
Yeah.
Going for it, because it's just amazing. What a gift you artists bring to us all. I mean, I hope you know what you make people feel. I think you do, but I'm not too sure if you really get how you make us completely happy, like we're floating, and it's just an amazing gift. And to be able to be on the side of the stage and watch somebody deliver that, I am just like, yeah.
Don't
mess with me. Yeah. I mean, that's where I'm big-headed. I'm not big-headed about what I do, but I'm very big-headed to say that, I was able to stand on the stage and watch them perform, and so, a little bit of a show off.
There's a couple of artists like that I had in the same way from my youth. I'd run to the front of the stage for the Jets anytime, or 5 Star.
Oh my God! And 5 Star, they were so big in England, but not so much. When I got to MTV, 5 Star were kind of Dunsky, but come on, was it All Fall Down? Is that?
Yeah. Well, they had a couple hits in the States, and I'm actually friends with a couple of them now. And
you got to hook me up with them. I love them.
Oh, absolutely. Doris is going to be on the show on the 22nd of this month.
How's that?
Yeah, exactly. But my thing with them, I think Dell was telling me that during their heyday, they were such a big thing in England that they never came over to the States to work the record or to tour. And, you know, as an artist, that's a big mistake. When you have a hits, when they had All Fall Down in the States, they had Let Me Be the One in the States, they had Can't Wait Enough. So they had 3 legitimate hits in the States, but they never came over to tour or to work it. I was like, oh, big mistake.
No, and they needed to do it. I think at that time they were thinking that the videos and the whole kind of like 5-star jam thing, you know, of course, everyone was kind of like saying the Jacksons 5-star, but yeah, it was. I didn't get to see them live. That's one
me either.
The ones I didn't get to see live, but DeBarge and all them we got to see live. And
absolutely love them. Yeah. Well, Julie, this has been a great talking to you.
Blabbing away, and I wanted to say cheers and you know, sorry about all this COVID-19 mess, but it really enjoyed to catch up with you, no matter where it is, even if it's through the internet, and thoroughly enjoyed seeing you. You look absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
I'm happy to kind of be chosen to be on your show.
Oh, absolutely. I hope that when we get back into our live studio audience setting, if you're in LA area, that you will stop by and bless our audience with an appearance by downtown Julie Brown.
Well, I tell you what, why don't you bring your show over here to Italy?
Yes.
Come and hang out at my joint. I've got a drum set and everything downstairs. You can just jam. We can just, I see the piano in the back, so maybe I need to get my baby grand sent over as well. But
that's not even a real piano. This whole background is not real. This is green screen. I'm at my dad's house in Virginia. Yeah, I'm at my dad's house in Virginia.
It worked.
Yeah. So yeah,
Israel.
Yeah, that is beautiful. I was like, this is not real. I'm in the garage right now.
Dude, hey, you know what? Everyone on the radio right now is doing it from their home. I'm lucky enough. I've got a little studio here, so I can do mine in my studio. But when I see pictures of people, what they're doing with their scarves or in their wardrobes, you know, recording shows, it's just like, hey, it's what's happening right now. So God bless. Everybody stay safe out there. Can't wait until we get back to normal. So glad we can do this without a face mask and I can see your smile. And so I'll just say downtown Julie Brown saying wubba, 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 goodbye and God bless.
Oh, wait. One question now that you brought that up real quick because I'm running that back. Wubba, wubba, wubba. What is that? Where'd it come from? Real quick.
Wubba, wubba. You know, on MTV, there used to be a commercial that said doodle, doodle, dee. Wubba, wubba, wubba. It's just like one of those things we used to throw in for space, you know, time. But on Club MTV, because we were shooting all the time, we had a live audience and we had all the artists hanging on stage all the time. Because we used to do those shows like 1, 2, sometimes, you know, 11 or 12 shows all in a row. So we'd have all the acts there. And it became a thing when something was going wrong and I didn't want anyone to know that it was going wrong. To my producer, I would say, wubba, 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 you know, meaning like something wasn't working, like instead of, because I didn't want to use any bad swear words because it's so easy to go. Yeah. But I didn't want to do that because, you know, the dancers, they were so young. I mean, you know, 18 years old, 17, 18 years old. So I used to go, you know, wubba, 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 and it would stop me from swearing. So there you go. That's my story. I'll stick to it.
There we have it.
There we have it. Don't ask me where the downtown Julie Brown comes from there.
All right. Thank you, Julie. We appreciate you speaking with us, and we'll do it again sometime. Let's get a virtual hand clap for downtown Julie Brown.